Hello, future medical professionals. Welcome to an exciting journey into the world of NEET biology. Today, we are diving deep into excretory products and their elimination, specifically focusing on the disorders that can affect this vital system. From common kidney stones to the complexities of kidney failure, we'll cover it all. Get ready to explore this topic across 4 levels of increasing depth: easy, medium, hard, and hardest, to build a robust understanding for your NEET preparation. Let's begin. Ready to start simple? In our easy section, we'll demystify some common issues affecting your body's waste removal system. Think of it as understanding the basic hiccups your kidneys might face. Our body's excretory system is crucial for removing waste. When it doesn't work right, various disorders can occur. First up are kidney stones, also known as renal calculi. These are hard deposits of minerals and salts that form inside your kidneys. They often result from dehydration, certain dietary habits, or underlying medical conditions. Symptoms include severe pain in the back or side, pain during urination, and even blood in the urine. For example, calcium oxalate stones are the most frequently encountered type. Understanding these basic facts is your first step. Next, let's talk about urinary tract infections, or UTIs. These are infections that can occur anywhere in your urinary system, be it kidneys, ureters, bladder, or urethra. They are typically caused by bacteria that enter the urinary tract, often from the skin or rectum. Common symptoms include a frequent urge to urinate, a burning sensation during urination, cloudy urine, and pelvic pain. A common example is cystitis, which is a bladder infection. Lastly, we have kidney failure, or renal failure, where your kidneys lose their ability to remove waste and balance fluids. This can be sudden, known as acute, or develop over time, which is chronic. It's often caused by diseases like diabetes or high blood pressure. Symptoms include swelling, fatigue, and reduced urine output. If left untreated, it can be life-threatening, requiring dialysis or a transplant. Now, let's test your understanding with a few practice questions. Question 1. What are kidney stones primarily made of? Question 2. Which part of the urinary system is commonly affected by cystitis? And question 3. What is a common symptom of kidney failure involving swelling? Take a moment to think about your answers. Alright, let's level up. In our medium section, we'll dive deeper into specific excretory disorders, exploring their mechanisms, various types, and how they are initially diagnosed. Starting with renal calculi, or kidney stones. These form when urine becomes highly concentrated, allowing mineral crystals like calcium, oxalate, or uric acid to clump together. There are different types. Calcium stones are the most common. Struvite stones are often linked to infections. Uric acid stones can result from dehydration or high-protein diets, and cystine stones are genetic. Factors like insufficient water intake, high-salt diets, obesity, and conditions like hyperparathyroidism increase risk. Diagnosis typically involves urinalysis to check for blood or infection, and imaging such as X-rays, CT scans, or ultrasounds to locate the stones. Next, we explore glomerulonephritis, which is the inflammation of the glomeruli, the tiny filters in your kidneys. This condition is often caused by autoimmune diseases, bacterial or viral infections like strep throat, or certain genetic factors. Damaged glomeruli can't filter blood effectively, leading to a buildup of fluid and waste. Symptoms include blood in urine, foamy urine due to protein, high blood pressure, and swelling in the face, hands, and feet. Diagnosis relies on urinalysis, blood tests for creatinine and BUN, and sometimes a kidney biopsy for a definitive diagnosis. Moving on to uremia, a serious condition where waste products, especially urea and other nitrogenous wastes, accumulate in the blood because the kidneys can't filter them out. This is a common complication of advanced chronic kidney disease. Symptoms range from nausea, vomiting, and fatigue to confusion and muscle cramps. Untreated uremia can affect multiple organ systems, leading to heart problems, nerve damage, and even coma. Finally, acute kidney injury, or AKI, is a sudden, rapid decline in kidney function over hours or days. Causes include severe dehydration, major blood loss, certain medications, or urinary tract blockages. AKI is often reversible if diagnosed and treated quickly. Symptoms include decreased urine output, swelling, and confusion. Diagnosis involves monitoring urine output and checking for a rapid rise in blood creatinine and BUN. Time for 5 medium-level practice questions. Question 1. What is the primary cause of struvite kidney stones? Question 2. Which condition is characterized by inflammation of the glomeruli? Question 3. What is the main characteristic of uremia? Question 4. Name a key diagnostic test for glomerulonephritis. And question 5. Is acute kidney injury typically reversible? Think carefully before you answer. Welcome to the hard level. Here, we'll analyze the distinctions between acute and chronic kidney conditions, delve into advanced treatments, and connect kidney dysfunction to its broader impact on the body. Let's compare acute kidney injury, or AKI, and chronic kidney disease, CKD. AKI is a sudden decline in kidney function, often reversible, caused by factors like reduced blood flow, direct kidney damage, or urinary obstruction. It's diagnosed by a rapid increase in serum creatinine or decreased urine output. CKD, on the other hand, is a gradual, irreversible loss of function over months or years, often due to diabetes or hypertension. It's diagnosed by a persistently low GFR for over 3 months. CKD progresses through 5 stages, with stage 5 being end-stage renal disease. For ESRD patients, renal replacement therapy, or RRT, is essential. This includes dialysis, which artificially filters waste, and kidney transplantation, replacing the diseased organ with a healthy one. Delving into dialysis, there are 2 main types. Hemodialysis filters blood outside the body using an artificial kidney machine called a dialyzer. Blood is drawn, passed through the dialyzer, and then returned to the body. Peritoneal dialysis, however, uses the patient's own peritoneal membrane in the abdominal cavity as a natural filter, where a special solution is introduced and later drained. Kidney transplantation offers better quality of life and survival than long-term dialysis, but it requires lifelong immunosuppressive medications to prevent the immune system from rejecting the new organ. This also increases the risk of infections and certain cancers. Careful matching of blood and tissue types between donor and recipient is crucial to minimize rejection. Kidney failure has significant systemic effects. It often leads to anemia because the kidneys produce less erythropoietin, a hormone vital for red blood cell production. Bone disease, or renal osteodystrophy, occurs as kidneys fail to activate vitamin D, impairing calcium absorption and weakening bones. Cardiovascular disease is a major concern, with hypertension and fluid overload significantly increasing the risk of heart problems. Kidney failure also causes electrolyte imbalances, such as high potassium levels and metabolic acidosis due to the inability to excrete acids. Key diagnostic markers include serum creatinine and blood urea nitrogen, both elevated in kidney dysfunction. The glomerular filtration rate, or GFR, is the best overall measure of kidney function, estimated from creatinine. Urinalysis helps detect protein, blood, or infection. Now, let's tackle 7 hard-level practice questions. Question 1. Differentiate between AKI and CKD based on onset and reversibility. Question 2. Name the 2 main types of renal replacement therapy. Question 3. What is the primary challenge associated with kidney transplantation? Question 4. Explain how kidney failure leads to anemia. Question 5. What is GFR and why is it important? Question 6. What are the two main types of dialysis? And question 7. Why are immunosuppressive drugs necessary after a kidney transplant? Take your time to formulate comprehensive answers. Alright, future medical experts, get ready to push your limits. This is the hardest level, where we'll explore competitive depth, engineering insights into treatments, and the intricate biological and genetic underpinnings of excretory disorders. At the competitive level, assessing GFR goes beyond simple estimations. While eGFR is common, measured GFR using exogenous markers like inulin or iohexol is the gold standard, offering precision. Cystatin C is another endogenous marker, less influenced by muscle mass or diet, potentially more accurate in specific populations. Albuminuria, the presence of albumin in urine, is a critical early marker of kidney damage, especially in diabetes and hypertension. Microalbuminuria indicates early damage, while macroalbuminuria signifies advanced disease. Furthermore, novel biomarkers such as NAGL, KIM1, and L18 are being investigated for very early detection of acute kidney injury, often before creatinine levels even begin to rise significantly, offering a potential window for timely intervention. Let's explore the engineering and physiological principles behind dialysis. Hemodialysis uses a dialyzer with semi-permeable membranes. Blood and dialysate flow countercurrent. Waste products like urea and creatinine diffuse from the blood into the dialysate due to concentration gradients, while excess fluid is removed by ultrafiltration via a pressure gradient. Peritoneal dialysis, conversely, utilizes the patient's own peritoneal membrane as the filter. Dialysate, often containing dextrose as an osmotic agent, is infused into the abdominal cavity. Solutes and water move from peritoneal capillaries into the dialysate by diffusion and osmosis. This can be done continuously by the patient or automated at night. A critical concept in dialysis is clearance, which quantifies the volume of blood cleared of a specific substance per unit time, ensuring adequate removal of toxins. Kidney transplantation involves complex immunology. Histocompatibility, particularly HLA matching, is crucial to minimize allograft rejection. HLA genes encode cell surface proteins that immune cells recognize. Post-transplant, lifelong immunosuppressive therapy with drugs like calcineurin inhibitors, anti-proliferative agents, and corticosteroids is vital. These drugs specifically target T-cell activation and proliferation to prevent rejection. Rejection can be hyperacute, acute, or chronic, each with distinct mechanisms and timelines. However, immunosuppression carries risks, including increased susceptibility to opportunistic infections, post-transplant lymphoproliferative disorder, and cardiovascular complications. Moving to genetic disorders, autosomal dominant polycystic kidney disease, ADPT, is the most common inherited kidney disorder, characterized by numerous cysts leading to kidney failure. It's caused by mutations in the PKD1 or PKD2 genes, which encode polycystin proteins crucial for renal tubular function. These cysts proliferate and secrete fluid, destroying normal kidney tissue. ADPT also presents with extrarenal manifestations like hepatic cysts and intracranial aneurysms. Autosomal recessive PKD, ARPT, is rarer and more severe, often presenting in childhood. Finally, the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system, RAS, plays a profound role in kidney disease. Chronic activation of RAS significantly contributes to hypertension and the progression of CKD. Impaired kidney function can lead to inappropriate renin release, further exacerbating the cycle. Therefore, medications like ACE inhibitors and angiotensin receptor blockers are cornerstone treatments for CKD, particularly in diabetic nephropathy. They work by reducing intraglomerular pressure, decreasing proteinuria, and slowing disease progression. Aldosterone, a component of RAS, promotes sodium and water retention, contributing to fluid overload and hypertension in CKD patients. It also has profibrotic effects on the kidney and heart, contributing to organ damage. Understanding these detailed mechanisms is crucial for competitive exams, linking physiology, pharmacology, and pathology. Let's challenge your knowledge with the first 5 hardest level questions. Question 1. Besides creatinine, name 2 novel biomarkers for early AKI detection. Question 2. Explain the principle of ultrafiltration in hemodialysis. Question 3. What is the primary genetic cause of autosomal dominant polycystic kidney disease? Question 4. How do ACE inhibitors benefit CKD patients, particularly in diabetic nephropathy? And question 5. What are the main extrarenal manifestations commonly associated with ADPT? Take your time to craft detailed and accurate responses. Here are the remaining 5 hardest level questions. Question 6. Differentiate between hyperacute and acute kidney transplant rejection. Question 7. Describe the role of dextrose in peritoneal dialysis. Question 8. Why is cystatin C considered a potentially more accurate GFR marker than creatinine in certain populations? Question 9. What are 2 major complications associated with lifelong immunosuppressive therapy post-kidney transplant? And question 10. Explain the systemic effects of aldosterone in the context of chronic kidney disease. These questions require a deep, integrated understanding of the topic. And that concludes our in-depth exploration of excretory disorders. We've journeyed from basic definitions to competitive level insights, covering everything from kidney stones to the intricacies of dialysis and transplantation. I hope this session has significantly boosted your understanding and preparation for NEET. Remember, consistent learning is key to success. For more such comprehensive educational content and to continue your learning journey, visit synapse.omaps.in. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for regular updates and more exciting biology content. Keep learning, keep growing, and ace your NEET exams. See you next time.